This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Caroline, you should tell them about the newest thing that Bloody Happy Hour is doing.
A Patreon.
It's a Patreon. What is that?
That means you're basically like a VIP member, and there's 2 different levels that you can, subscribe to, and you get some perks. You maybe get like merch a little earlier. You get
exclusive merch.
You could get first dibs on signing up for a live show. You get episodes with no commercials.
You get our video because our video is no longer available on YouTube. It is only on Patreon. And the most important to me is you get videos of our live shows. So if you are far away and you couldn't make our last live show, it will be on the website. We're going to record this future live show. It's going to be on Patreon, but also bonus episodes each month. You guys tell us all the time you want more episodes. This is a way for you to get more episodes. So you're going to get our basic Tuesday, Thursdays that we always put out, right? But if you're on a Patreon, you're VIP, you're going to get more.
I can't wait to talk about in detail some more stories because I always have a lot of details I want to go to. I can law-splain. I might read a book.
They just unsubscribed. This is also going to be the exclusive place that Dirty Chat is going to go to. So if that is breaking some of your hearts, just go ahead and subscribe now. In order to hear the full content, it's going to be Patreon. Where do they go again?
Patreon.com/bloodyhappyhour.
Don't forget to
stay aware,
stay alive,
and always be DTF.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Bloody Happy Hour podcast.
Your favorite true crime podcast.
It is. And before we get started, this is the last time you're going to hear our voice before Saturday. And what is Saturday, Caroline?
That's a live show?
It is the live show.
OMG.
Bloody Happy Hour is 2 years old, and we are celebrating with the live show, and we are also celebrating the coming out of Dirty Chad podcast.
Oh, and that involves maybe a possible...
Give up some...
I'll give you a little teaser. It involves a holiday.
Yeah, maybe your favorite holiday.
It involves possibly a syringe.
But not the traditional way you would use a syringe.
It involves a 911 call.
Yeah, it does.
And that's
yeah, you should just stop there.
The tip. That's just the tip. You're just getting the tip.
Listen, and when we say teaser, this is like a 20-minute teaser. Maybe a 15-minute teaser. Caroline is going to tell you, episode 0 is how everything ended, like when everything just like fell apart, like when she knew Dirty Chad was the dirtiest of dirty.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. And you're going to see a whole different side of Caroline.
And so for any of you who are new or first-time listeners, because I know I've come across some people recently who have heard about it and they've asked about this. And this Dirty Chad situation was, I was married to a guy, and he did a lot of things that were similar to Dirty John, which is the show that you may have heard of, but there was just a lot of deception, and, just kind of changed my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 3 years of a lot of peaks and valleys, but mainly valleys.
Yeah. And Caroline's unleashing all of that on this podcast. So you guys, if you're at the live show, you get to hear it all. It is Saturday, 7 o'clock, Cultivate 712, downtown Waco. We will have alcohol, beer, seltzers, and wine for you to purchase. And there's only $25 tickets. You can DM us to send you the link, or you can just go to our Facebook page or go to our website at bloodyhappyhour.com and register. You can even register at the door.
Oh, look at that.
Yes.
Convenient.
So that is it. We will see you Saturday. Do not let us down for our second birthday.
And bring a friend, or 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, 14 of them. Second on the list, we want to shout out some of our newest Patreons.
OMG.
First on the list, our eyewitness level is
Jessica or Jessica.
we have. Is that Joe Botto? That is Jessica Joe Botto. We also have Dawn Turner.
Oh, Dawn.
She put her whole name. Oh, she does have a cat for a profile, Dawn.
Oh, Dawn.
I won't hold that against you.
Is that from, we're going to have to make that not an
Yeah,
option.
we're going to take the cat
Yeah,
option
we're gonna
away.
Take the cat option. It could be a fox.
Maybe it's a
I'm
fox.
Gonna go with the
We'll
fox.
go with tiger. I'll take a tiger. We'll say tiger or
I'm
fox.
I'm going to say fox, and you can say tiger. And then we have Krista Weishart.
Krista, and then Haley Wilson. And then I just met this girl this past week at the T-shirt place. Isabella.
Isabella
Yes. She actually saw the Dirty Chad shirts before most of you guys. So shout out. Thank you all to our first Patreons.
What is Patreon?
Oh, you should tell them.
Oh, okay.
Get a drink of my Malibu rum.
Oh, well, I'm going to get a drink of my Deep Eddies because I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back to Deep Eddies.
We always go back to Eddie.
Patreon is where you can go and you can sign up and you can get some perks. You can get some exclusive. Actually, that's where all of the Dirty Chad catalog is going to live.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear anything about that story, you kind of got to sign up to be a Patreon member because, I kind of have to keep my job. It's not really going to be a lot about. I mean, it is. It's my whole life.
Yeah.
So if you,
You also get bonus episodes.
You get bonus episodes. You're gonna get the Dirty Chad. You're gonna get. You never know. I might come on and read you a book. I don't know. I might read a book to you. But yeah, you'll get some perks, and there's a couple different levels.
Whenever we have gear, you'll get first dibs on the gear.
First dibs, yes.
Little bit of a discount on the gear, and you'll just be our patrons. You'll be our VIPs.
Yeah.
And that is it. That is all with the housekeeping. I think we should get started with the story because we're going to New York.
Oh, but I do have one other thing.
Okay.
I was going to work out this week.
Okay.
And I ran into a listener, which I actually ran into 2 former campers.
Okay.
Or one former camper and a friend.
Tell new people what you mean by camper.
Oh, so I used to be a boot camp instructor.
Yeah.
And so did that for 10 years. So the place that I'm working out now, I was going in early morning, and one of the people who used to come work out with me every early morning was there. And it was her and then a girl I went to high school with, and then another lady who was a listener. And the 2 girls that I knew were like, yeah, you should come work out with us at this time, blah, blah, blah. And the listener was like, I listen, I love your show. And she's like, yes, if you come, I'll add to your Idaho fund. And I was like, you are a true listener. Because then the other 2 were like, Idaho fund? What do you mean Idaho fund? And I was like, oh my gosh, you are dedicated. So
Speaking of Idaho fund, we do have a happy hour fund.
we do have a happy hour
Yeah.
fund.
Today we're drinking on some Malibu and some Deep Eddies, but if you want to contribute to our happy hour fund, you can, or Caroline's Idaho fund, but there's not going to be a trial.
Well, there is going to be
a
trial,
pre-trial
but
for
the
the
Idaho
summer.
fund was for the Koberger pre-trial hearing, which they canceled because they did a secret grand jury hearing. So Stephanie, what you gave us, it's going to go straight to our next alcohol
Bottle.
purchase.
Tequila,
and we'll let you
tequila.
know. But you can Cash App us, or you can Venmo us
Bloody
at
happy hour.
both at Bloody Happy Hour.
So by our next round.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, it's fine.
All right. We're going to New York. I'm always in Texas, so I'm going far, far, far away. Total opposite of Texas would probably be New York.
Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsors.
I'm your puzzle pal, and I'm going to tell you about my latest obsession, Wongo puzzles. These things are the real deal, folks. They're high quality, handcrafted, and perfect for anyone who loves a good challenge, but doesn't want to dedicate their entire kitchen table to puzzles for a week. Trust me, I've been there. I might still be there. But I got one of these actually for Christmas. I loved it. I did it, and I was so proud of myself. And they have all these cool designs, and you need to go to wongopuzzles.com and use our discount, BHH. You get 10% off, and I really want to know if you'll order one of these puzzles, what'd you think about it? Because it's so fun, and I need to order like 5.
Cure Hydration. If you are obsessed with your hydration like I am, this may be something good for you. This is something that is so easy. Forget about the Gatorade. That just dehydrates you even more. And if you don't like the taste of coconut water, try Cure Hydration. You can go to my offer link. It is zen.ai/BHH20. This is vegan. It's no added sugars. It's just a little packet you could put in your water. Or if you're really smart during happy hour, you could put it into your Tito's. It is just as effective as an IV drip. And if you do not like the taste of water, it's not as boring as water, not as sugary as the sports drink. And if you're an athlete, it'll give you the best performance. Or if you just get brain fog or headaches because you do not stay hydrated.
Brain frog?
Brain fog.
I get
The
brain
solution is Cure Hydration. So go to that link, enter the code. You can go to my offer link. It is zen.ai/BHH20. Cure Hydration. I had to do another kid killer. This is the kid killer I wanted to do first, and I don't know how I hopped right over him and ended up doing Paris Bennett from 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I'm going back to this guy. Let's play a game, okay? This is almost like I don't know what kind of game this is. I'm just going to make it up.
Okay.
When I say a category, you're going to say the first name that comes to your head,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
So, cult. What's the first cult that comes to your head?
David Koresh.
Okay.
British Davidians, just because.
Serial killer.
Ted Bundy.
Killer mommy.
Well, Lori Vallow.
Okay. Kid killer.
Paris Bennett.
Okay. So you do the ones that are the most recent in your brain.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
On the spot.
Yes. Okay. On the spot.
Yeah.
I tend to do the ones that are like ingrained, maybe the first ones that I've learned about on
Yeah.
that
Like,
case.
I
So for
wouldn't
me, it
be-
would be David Koresh, but my killer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy with my answers.
Okay.
Yeah.
My serial killer would probably be
Jeffrey
Dahmer. Yeah. But my kid killer wouldn't be Paris Bennett. It would be a guy named Eric Smith. And y'all are going to be like, who the hell is Eric Smith? Who's Eric Smith?
No, I have no idea.
But I guarantee if you guys look at
Oh,
the
hell.
picture of Eric Smith, you will be like, oh, yeah, Eric Smith. He is probably the very first kid killer that there was that went viral. He is the redhead, freckle face, he had on big
Is that
glasses.
from Little Rascals?
He does not. He looks like Little Rascal. He looks
He's
like
not-
Alfalfa.
No.
No, it's not.
Well, what is he? Was he a child star? A child star?
No. He's the very first kid killer there was. You've never seen that face?
Yeah, but I thought he was from Little Rascals when I saw that picture. I'm gonna go find it now.
Okay. So, Eric Smith, we're going to go to 1993. That's Alfalfa.
I know. I'm thinking about the other kid with the red hair. What? I don't know who I'm thinking about, but yeah, he does look familiar.
It was the very, not the very first one, but the very first
Maybe
one that went
I thought it
viral.
was on a movie. Okay. Wow.
Okay, redhead, freckle face with glasses. We're going to go to Savona, New York, 1993. This is a small, quaint, like little town or village, and they only had about 1,000 people there. So that means they had like one grocery store, one vet, one doctor. Everybody knew everybody. Now, let's meet a little boy named Derek Roby, okay?
Okay.
Derek
Derek and
Roby, I'm about to tell you about it. You don't got to read about it. He was a beautiful blonde hair boy, and he was an all boy. He loved sports, especially baseball. He loved climbing trees. He was very loved. He was very popular, very friendly. He was only 4 years old, but he's about to be 5. And some people refer to him as the mayor of Savona because he's the little boy that, like, if you were out in public, he knew your name, and he was speaking to you, and he was waving to you. Like, he was just a very friendly little boy.
Okay.
Little Derek Roby, okay? Now, it's summer of 93 on August 2nd, and 4-year-old Derek Roby was participating in, like, a summer camp that you do in the summertime.
Yeah.
So wasn't even like a sports only camp. It was just like a summer camp that the kids can
like
go
you
to
go
during the
jump on
day.
a blob and you like go like swimming,
Yeah.
and hiking, or
Like a
whatever.
Y camp or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the summer camp was like 1 block from his house on the street that he lived on. And he lived on like a dead end street. And at the end of his street was like a park, and that's where the summer camp was
Mm-hmm.
held at, okay? So that's the visual for you. Now, every morning, his mom would get up and wake him up, and her baby brother would walk, her little brother, or his little brother, Dalton, she'd put Dalton in the stroller, and they would walk little Derek down to summer camp every morning, right?
Mhm.
Little 4-year-old Derek. Well, this morning on August 2nd, Derek's baby brother was like extra fussy, and she just couldn't get things together, and she couldn't get out of the house, and Derek was going to be late, and little Derek was like, Mama, I'm going to be 5. I can make it. It's right down the road. I know where to go. And she was like, no, just wait. I'll get you there. I'll get you there. But the baby just kept crying.
I'm gonna be 5.
You know, little kids are like, I'm grown then. You know, when you go to that next stage, like, they're grown-ups, right?
Oh my.
So Mom did not want to do it at first.
But back then, like,
Yeah. In this town, like, there's no crime. These are like the cops that sit around and twiddle their thumbs, and they eat donuts and have toothpicks in their mouth all day long. Like, they don't do
Yeah.
anything. So she was like, okay, just go straight there, go the way we go. So little Derek was so excited, gave his mom a big hug and kiss, said, I love you. And he walked on the sidewalk going towards the park. Well, she had to go and get little brother taken care of. And shortly after, like within like 5 minutes, a storm cloud covered the sky. It got really dark, and then rainstorms came down, like within 5 minutes. So she said she just got this horrible, overwhelming feeling
Oh no.
of panic. So she decided to race to the park to go pick him up because this was an all outdoor park anyways, from what I can tell. So it thought it was going to get canceled anyways. And it's
Yeah.
not like she was going to work. This was something for her kid to do
Yeah.
during the day, during the summer. When she got to the park, looking for little Derek, she found out that Derek never showed up. Mind you, it's like only 10 minutes in, but he should have gotten there like in 2 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's that close, right?
Yeah.
So she panics. 5 hours later, searchers found Derek's body in a patch of woods, and
Oh.
just a few yards from the park where he was supposed to go. and just like a few hundred yards from her front door.
Oh, wow.
So within 5 minutes, somebody had got him. You need to text her.
I'm listening.
When they found him, he had been choked and beaten to death with a big boulder, like a big-ass rock. He was sodomized with a stick. His shoes were off and placed by his hands, and his lunchbox was open. His banana was squished like somebody had purposely stepped on it. And then this killer poured little Derek's little Kool-Aid out of his lunchbox all over his body in his bloody wounds. So here's the wounds, and then here's Kool-Aid poured all into the wounds.
And he just, the wounds was from this rock?
Yeah. Well,
Like
yes.
Hit him on the head
Yeah.
or what?
Mm-hmm. He was strangled. He was choked and beaten with multiple rocks, but then, like, one of them was like a big boulder rock that was crushed in his head. Now, of course, small town, 1,000 people.
Oh.
Traumatized.
My goodness.
The streets were, like, quiet. Nobody was outside. Kids were not playing outside. Kids were not at the park anymore. Parents kept their kids close because they just knew there was a stranger in town. Like, somebody out of town came into their town and took one of their kids and killed them. And how could somebody do such a horrible thing? But the town was about to soon find out that the killer was a lot closer than they ever could have guessed. So now, of course, the police are asking people in the community for info. And now this small town police department, they are DTF. They're down to find. They don't become like lost and like not know what to do and like half investigate this. They interview every single person in that town. What did you
All
see?
1,000?
Where were you at? Yes.
Oh,
And for probably a small
nothing to do.
and probably for a small police department, that was probably a lot of their time.
Oh yeah, they're like, we finally have a murder.
we have something to do finally.
And now a word from our sponsors.
All right, if you love smoothies or if you love your protein in the morning, you need to get you a BlendJet. You can do that if you go into blendjet.com. If you enter the code BHH12, you get a discount. And let me tell you, these things are portable. They are easy to use. They can fit in your cup holder. You can have it at home or you can have it in your office like I do. Right this morning, I had my blueberry banana one
How was
with
it?
some chia seed.
Wasn't chunky or anything?
It was very smooth. When I have it in my shaker, it is a little chunky. So this is a great alternative.
I love it.
It is battery powered, so all you have to do is plug it in every 2 weeks, and the battery never runs down.
Oh my gosh. I love battery powered things.
Go to BlendJet and order you a BlendJet and get a discount.
Thanks, April, for sharing.
Did you know you could be putting oil and chemicals in your coffee? I love coffee creamer, but I don't think I've ever turned the bottle around to actually see what's inside. When I did, I found out many of my favorite creamers contain ingredients I would never intentionally add to my coffee cup, like canola oil, dipotassium phosphate, ew, and artificial flavors. Laird Superfood all started when big wave surfer Laird Hamilton needed morning fuel that could allow him to spend the entire day chasing the ultimate wave. He couldn't find anything in the market that met his ingredient standards, so made himself the ultimate plant-based creamer. Laird Superfood started and launched its first product, Original Superfood Creamer, in 2015. Laird Superfoods contain no artificial flavors, colors, or additives, and no sugars from highly refined corn syrup. All Laird products are sustainably sourced and thoroughly tested to ensure that you're incorporating the cleanest, finest fuel into into your routine. All Laird products are also made of all-natural whole food ingredients, and they are crafted from the highest quality all-natural real food ingredients. Are you ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported? Go to lairdsuperfood.com and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. Use our promo code BOO at checkout to save 15% off your purchase today.
So this Smith family knew that their son Eric was out riding their bike at this time.
Oh.
And Eric also lived in this area, and he too was going to be attending that same summer camp.
Yeah.
Eric is 13 years old.
Oh.
Okay. Now, he was his hair, y'all, is like fire red. He is freckle faced, and he is a funny looking boy with these big glasses. And if you look either on our page or just Google his pictures, his glasses are humongous.
They are the typical serial
They're
killer
like the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Yes.
But he also has this big piece of tape, like in the middle of his glasses, like they had broken, and his parents just put tape on them to put them back together.
You know what? I have a friend who did that. But it was
In
because-
school?
No.
Like
in real
recently?
life right now. You know who you are. But it was taped around the side,
Yeah.
not in the middle. But then they had to order new glasses,
Mhm.
and so they're waiting. Anyways,
And
they
that's
have the new ones.
typically
But
when it
yeah.
happens. Like you only have one pair,
'Cause
and you
if
need
you're a
them to
little
see.
kid and you have to have your glasses.
Well, and back then it took a long time to get glasses to come in. Now you can get them like within a couple days.
I
But
guess these
back
were the
then, it
only
took a
type
long
of glasses
time.
available. And he had his ears were down.
yes, he had some crazy, like some physical characteristics that people later said that his mom, like his ears were really, really low. Said that his mom had to take some anti-seizure meds while she was pregnant. So that could have contributed to like his low ears and like his horrible vision. So it's kind of scary, like when you're pregnant and you're also on a
like
lot of
fetal
prescription
alcohol
drugs.
syndrome
Yeah,
looking.
I
thought I had that for a little bit.
I think I got it right now. So when they talked to Eric, he said, "Yeah, I remember seeing Derek." So she hurried him down to the police department. The mom was like, "You saw Derek? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go tell the police what you said." So he go down to the police department, and he was questioned. And he did tell the police that he saw Derek eventually, and they felt like, okay, we caught a break. Eric saw Derek, and he saw him right in the area where Derek's body was found. So they took him out there. They said, "Let's go out there. Show us where you were on your bike. Show us where you saw Derek." "Could you see what Derek had on?" He said, "Yeah, Derek had on a Tasmanian devil shirt." "Oh, could you see that Derek had on like his lunchbox?" "Yeah, it was kind of cool too. He had this lunchbox that had this on it. And I think he had like a banana in his lunchbox. Like he was like telling too many details and was kind of excited about these details instead of
God.
not." And so they begin to realize that Eric had to have been a lot closer to Derek than what he was saying. Like he was saying he was way over here on the street, but how could you see all this stuff?
Yeah, why you know he have a banana?
How'd you know he had a banana inside of his lunchbox? So when they brought him back into the, because they questioned him multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When they brought him back into the police department, he began to put his hand in his face and he says, "Y'all think I did it, don't you? Y'all think I did it?" And they still, at this point, was like, "No, a kid could not have done this.
I did.
Maybe he saw somebody and this somebody has threatened him." So they wanted to keep questioning him to get out maybe who he saw around Derek.
Yeah.
Like that maybe he saw and maybe
Yeah.
he went to the crime scene afterwards, right?
Yeah.
They still didn't totally think. So they said, "Here, we'll bring you something to drink." They happened to bring him some red Kool-Aid. and he flipped out and threw knocked the Kool-Aid on the ground, and they were like, okay, something else is going on. Meanwhile, it's been 5 days since the murder, and they have to lay little sweet Derek to rest. They bury him in his T-ball uniform because he loved T-ball so much, and his father was his T-ball coach.
Oh.
2 days after the funeral, 13-year-old Eric confessed to the murder.
Oh my gosh.
To his grandpa and some other police department, his grandpa was the chief of police.
Oh.
Can you imagine you're the chief of police and your grandson
I need to
is
know his.
the one? Okay. Now, his mother was, of course, devastated and shocked. So when his mother asked him why, he put his head in his hands and he says, I don't know. I don't know why. And he just started crying.
What?
But during his confession, he just said, I don't know why I did it. I don't know why. So in his confession, he says that on his way to camp, he saw little Derek walking all by himself. He said, I just saw this little blonde head boy. And I'm going to tell you what I think after this.
Oh.
He told
He
and
was
he told
gay.
Derek. No. Well, no. Nothing came out like that. But
Oh.
keep on. Because I'm going to ask you what you think.
Okay.
So he told Derek that he knew a shortcut through the woods to get to the park. So he was like, hey, I got a shortcut. Come this way and we'll get there quicker.
Oh yeah.
So little Derek was like, oh, yeah, sure. So as soon as he got him to the woods, he grabbed him and he strangled him. Then he beat him with the biggest rocks that he could find. One of them was a 26-pound rock. Like he had to imagine a 25-pound dumbbell.
Looks small though. This
He is.
Eric.
Yeah. I mean,
But
26
he's
pounds.
13?
He's 13 years old. He's very small in stature. One of these rocks he had to like actually dig up. Okay.
Okay.
Then he grabbed a stick and sodomized him.
Yeah, that's a little. You had to have you've seen something like that in order to know what like that's a thing.
Yeah.
Or have
Later on,
experienced it.
something. Later on, he said that he wanted to reach the heart to stop it. So he thought if he stuck the stick up his butt that far enough that it would reach his heart and stab his heart and kill him that way.
Okay.
He then grabbed his lunch, where he smashed the banana and then poured the Kool-Aid all over his wounds, like the police saw and knew. And the autopsy revealed that Derek was dead within 5 minutes of him leaving his mom. So in the documentary, there's a documentary called Gambling on a Killer. The mom said that she thinks that as soon as the cloud turned dark and that rain came down, that is when Derek died.
Oh my gosh.
That was Derek sending her like a message. Take a drink.
I did.
Eric was charged with second-degree murder at that time. And that was like the most, at that time, that's all he could get because there hasn't been a little kid on trial for murder like this. So that's the most he can get. Yeah, at that time.
Well, I guess what was the one I did recently and you had to be a certain age?
Fauci?
No. Or you did one. Well, obviously you did Paris.
Kevin Davis and
There
Corpus?
was somebody was 12 or it was the girl, the 12-year-old who was stabbing and they're like, "Well, you have to be 13 in order to be tried or whatever."
As an adult.
otherwise. So yeah, I guess he was that age. It's different in each state. Continue. Sorry.
But there still has to be a trial. So he was charged with second-degree murder at that time. That's all he could get. But there still had to be a trial. And
Because he pled not guilty.
well, his parents this had just really not happened. This just wasn't a thing back then. So people were like, he had to have been crazy. Was he competent? So during the trial, we learned a little bit more about Eric. As a toddler, we learned, like Paris Bennett from 2 weeks ago, that he threw temper tantrums. During these tantrums, he often banged his head on the floor. Often.
Okay.
So, what do we know that is common in a lot of killers is head trauma.
Yeah.
He also had a very significant speech problem, and he was held back and was bullied relentlessly by kids at school. And nobody stopped it. Teachers at school didn't stop it, but also like his mom and dad didn't do any, like they didn't go up to the school and try to stop it, okay? His mom said that he got off the bus daily crying because school was so horrible. His clothes would be torn or he'd have like be bleeding. So he was getting tortured at school. He had very few friends, if any. But what I think is worse is if you're bullied at school and you have a safe place at home, that might be a little bit better if you don't have a safe place at home. And it seems like his home wasn't as bad as school, but it wasn't good. It wasn't great. So, like, his stepdad
Okay, so
didn't beat him.
His daddy?
So, his stepdad, who has adopted him since he was a little baby. So, he's got his mom, he's got his stepdad.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't really beat him, but they didn't stand up for him. They didn't feel sorry for him. He was a target. Stepdad on the stand admitted to slapping him around, like in the back of the head, like when he was whining or crying. They talked about how he looked all the time. They dismissed him. And when he would come home crying about being bullied, they just told him he needed to stand up for himself.
I feel like that's kind of how it was back in the day. And you just, like,
Dealt with it.
yeah.
But even, like, stand up for yourself, like, give them some skills too. Like, put them in karate, teach them how to fight,
Yeah.
give them a punching bag. Like, either you're a fighter or you're not. So you're telling a
Give 'em
kid who's not a
release.
fighter, yeah.
Or put them in a club where they can find, or I don't know, just be like, hey, go do. You know.
So they knew there was an issue, but they didn't do much to
Yeah,
kind
they
of like
just
help them
didn't-
out.
Yeah. I didn't really think he was going to, like, kill somebody.
No, no. They just basically said, man up, deal with it. But they didn't give them the tools to deal with it, in my opinion.
Right.
So also in trial that it came out that he started hurting animals.
Oh, here we go.
So he had no control at school. He had no control at home, but he could get control over small animals. So he shot dogs with BB guns. He strangled cats. And he would drown any little birds that he can catch. He would just stick them in water and drown them.
Did they see him do this, his parents?
Well,
or not? We
um,
don't know. That's just what we know later on.
They knew about the dogs and they knew about the birds. I don't know about the cats, but the little boy, like, he goes through lots of interviews and stuff. So the little boy's telling him a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're a kid, you tell things not knowing that it's really
Yeah.
right or wrong. Like,
Yeah.
you're just telling
Yeah.
he just is telling the truth because it's just what he
Well, he kind of does
did.
look like Chucky.
he looks like
I
Chucky.
think they might have made Chucky after
based
him.
off him. Can you imagine, like, how little redhead boys probably
I'm
got
just glad
judged?
that my friend's son is not redheaded because he is kind of like Chucky. He
So-
doesn't bite anymore though, so it's good.
Oh yeah, Casey.
She'd be like, "Stop talking about my kid."
Okay, so he
Yeah.
eventually graduated from animals to obviously a small kid that he
Clearly.
could control.
Mm-hmm.
Dad also talked on the stand how one day Eric came into the house and he was shaking, crying, red. His fists were clenched, And he was just saying, I'm so angry. I just want to hurt something. I want to hurt something. I'm so angry. And so his dad was said, shut up. And when I was like that when I was young, I just went out in the barn and I just hit a bag. Go hit something. So he flew out the door. And when he came back in, his fists were bleeding, his hands were bleeding, but he had stopped crying. And so they were like, well, where'd you go? He beat the tree trunk in the front yard. Like, that's not normal. Like, to beat a tree trunk?
Okay, let me just tell you. Let me just give y'all a little
and
side
make
story.
yourself bleed?
So, when I was younger, I had a very, 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 very bad temper.
Okay.
I had a cast. My sister signed it in the wrong place. I jumped on the coffee table and broke it in half. If I was mad and I hit the turn on the light switch, that little white whatever, and I would hit it so hard that the whole square from the light switch come off the wall. I had those big giant red punching gloves because I would get so mad. I would have to take the punching gloves and go outside and I would punch the brick of the house.
Wow.
And
at least you had
used
gloves.
it so much, I tore all of the punching gloves were ripped up because I just would get so mad.
People are taking notes on you right now.
I just had a horrible temper. And I think that's why now I'm just so
Because you don't
I have
now.
nothing.
Yeah.
I went from
all the way.
all to none.
That means when you do, actually, it's going to be bad.
Well, there was a time recently where I got it's in there. It's still in there, and I got so and so if I get really angry, or I'll just I need to hit something, and it's it's just I wouldn't hit. But then I'm I don't want to. I want to throw my phone, but I don't want to mess
Break
it
your
up.
phone.
So I'm logical about it, but I'm still you need a release. But I'm I don't want to hurt myself. But yes, I mean I understand I think I have the rage occasionally, and that's that rage. But I just had a horrible, horrible, horrible temper when I was little.
That is so random.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that because not at all. Do you have that now?
No.
So he did release it.
But
I would at least punch the sheetrock on the wall or something.
Right. He wanted to feel
that pain
I didn't want
too.
to feel the pain. I just wanted to get
and
that
it made him feel
energy out.
better to feel the pain and get that energy out because he was bleeding.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of rage. Also during trial, a therapist got up there and diagnosed him with intermittent explosive disorder.
Oh, what's that?
That's probably what you
Maybe
had.
that's what I have.
That's what you had. Still a thing. They questioned if he was sexually abused during trial because who
Why
just
else would he-
sodomizes?
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So he was the middle child. He had an older
Oh,
sister
hell.
and a younger thing.
No.
And when I listened to T-Cat, to True Crime all the time, and he was telling the story. And so one of them, Mike, I think, who was telling the story, and he was saying how he was the middle child, and the middle child is a thing. But he said that this was not a reason or not an excuse, that he was just the middle child, and the trial didn't make a big deal out of this, but his older sister came up and went on trial and said that the stepdad abused her.
Because you don't know if that's just
She's a redhead
he
too.
hit her, grabbed her butt, or if he actually.
Well, I don't know. She said repeatedly sexually abused her. So I would say maybe molested her. It didn't say if it was rape or not, and I didn't dig deep enough.
Yeah.
So she was saying Ted, stepdad, probably abused little boy too.
Right.
But do you usually do the boy and the girl? Like it's usually like if you usually do
Well,
one
I
or the
know, that's
other.
what I was-
Usually you like the
unle-
girl or you like the
if-
boy. Unless you're
I feel like
Jared from
he
Subway.
is taking his anger out on this little kid, but why would he sodomize him unless something like that was done to him?
the only thing that because they questioned him and they asked him why, and the only thing they can get out of him to explain the sodomy, because he denied anybody ever doing anything to him, and they did the assessment to see if
Yeah,
there's any type of abuse, like
Right.
penetrations, and there wasn't, and he didn't make any allegations against his stepdad or anything else. He said that he thought if he shoved that stick, it would go to
Go to
his
the
heart
heart.
and kill Derek quicker.
Okay, well, how do you even think that? How do you even?
And then
think
if you're
about that?
13, I know, why wouldn't you just put it in the
How
heart?
do you even think of something up the butt? Well, I mean, at that young of an age, I should say.
Well, and they're saying like at that young of an age too, you don't know anatomy, you don't know like how the body works. I
mean,
don't know.
Nowadays they do, but shit.
So,
Hmm.
to end the trial, there was testimony that came back. Testimony that said that he was a normal kid at school,
Okay.
that he was friendly, that he played jokes and pranks on people. He was in an upbeat mood. He was on the wrestling team. He played the trombone and was in the school band. That he loved Garth Brooks and had aspirations to play in a country band. So what we heard in the beginning about him being bullied and no friends and terrorized, and then what they heard at the end of the trial, one of the last things that they hear is, oh, nope, he wants to be Garth Brooks and he's involved and he, is on the wrestling team. Two totally different things.
What?
Two varying accounts of his personality. And then one of the last things they saw was they brought in that big ass rock in the courtroom
Oh, that's
and
good.
made sure that they saw that it had dirt on it to prove that he actually was mindful enough to dig it out.
Yes.
up.
He took the time to dig it up, had to pick it up and throw it.
And pick it up and bash it over the little boy's head.
Yeah, and he had to take the boy's pants off and stick the stick in his butt.
And then lastly, he visited the crime scene multiple times during the day until the body was found.
To just look at it?
Yep. So at first when he killed him, he took off. Then he came back and
He was like, did they find
it's
him
when
yet?
he
Did they
messed
find
with
him yet?"
the lunch.
Oh.
He took the little boy's shoes off and placed it by the hands. So he played around with the crime scene.
Oh my
And he riddled, he enjoyed it. The police testified that when they went through him in the confession, step by step, he enjoyed the conversation. He talked about it like he enjoyed it.
Oh no. Oh.
So what do you think the jury's going to come back with?
Well, I hope guilty,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the sentencing phase is.
So jury came back really quick, and he was sentenced to the maximum that you can get at that time was 9 years to life.
What?
Second-degree murder was the only thing he can get. 9 years to life was the max that he can get.
When was this?
This was in 1993. So the Smiths, the parents, so Eric's family was devastated because they were like, he's sick, he's mentally ill. You have to be mentally ill to commit such a crime. He should not be in prison. He should be in an institution.
Yeah, for his life.
The Robies felt justice for a moment, but then they were like, wow, 9 years? He could face parole in 9 years. So they could really only rejoice for a little bit because they had to think he could be out in 9 years. So 9 years later was 2002, and Eric Smith faced parole, had a parole hearing.
Okay.
Okay? And, of course, he was denied. But the Roby family, so you got Mama Roby and Daddy Roby, and then little brother Dalton Roby. They, of course, went to the hearings and they spoke, but they also played videos and had pictures. And they were just like, we could not risk him getting out and doing this to somebody else. So they felt like it was their responsibility to make sure Eric stayed in jail. Rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Eric went up for parole every 2 years after that. So 2002,
Oh gosh.
2004, 2006, 2008. So at each parole hearing, they would present with the home videos, and they would read the interview with Eric, where he described in detail, without much emotion, like what either police or the doctors would say, and then Eric's response. So they asked him if the killing gave him a good feeling, and he answered yes. And they asked him why. And when they asked him why, he said, instead of me being hurt, I was hurting someone else. Growing up, he was always the
You weren't even
victim.
hurt.
This was the first time he was ever the victimizer. Like, those weren't his words, but
Right.
like, he was always the one being hurt. So it felt good for him not being hurt, like him hurting somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave him that power and that control that he had never felt like he had his whole life, because he was, one part of the story is he was being bullied everywhere, at home and at school. They asked him also at this time, he was younger, would he have done it again had he not gone to jail? And his answer was yes, because it made him feel so good.
Oh, good.
So every 2 years, they would read that and show the videos, and so that's why he was denied
Okay.
until 2021.
Okay. What happened?
And clinical psychologists, he's had a lot of interviews, and psychologists watch interviews from when he was 13 and then ongoing, and they see that he now seems more sincere,
Okay.
and that he is apologetic. They see empathy coming out, and they don't see that. They see remorse, that he grew in emotions and maturity, and his interviews seem very convincing. And his last interview, he said that he wanted to get married, get a job, and have kids, and that he wants to counsel kids who have been bullied like he was,
Oh,
so that
hell.
maybe they don't do what he did. So I just wrote down one of his quotes.
I want to know who his psychologist was, because if it was this lady.
No, so none of the psychologists actually even saw him. They just watched his interviews.
Oh, that's good. that's reassuring.
So he felt God was calling on him to do ministry, and
Of
said
course.
that while incarcerated, he was working on getting his college degree in crusade evangelism. Caroline. He was also looking forward to working in electrical installation or carpentry. He says, I'm not a threat. The 13-year-old kid that took Derek's life is not the man you see sitting in front of you talking. If you were to give me the chance, I would not only prove to you that I'm not a threat, I would definitely be an asset to the society. So the board decided to give Smith that chance. And so he was released in November of 2021.
And is he back in jail already?
Granted parole. It was delayed because he had to find housing. Now, the Savona community where he lived, this is what I thought was crazy. His parents still lived in Savona. There's only 1,000 people there. So of those 1,000, every person there knows that your son was a killer, and you didn't move. You didn't even move 2 towns over.
No, they didn't even move.
So they did a peaceful protest saying that we do not want you back in this town. So when they found housing for him, they found housing in Queens, New York.
Oh.
So they interviewed the Robys afterwards, and the Robys said that, yes, he is released, but they feel released too. They feel free. They don't feel restrained by the parole hearings every 2 years. Because what would happen, it would happen
True.
every year at Christmas. So they would get ready to put up decorations, then they'd get the letter, and then they'd have to prepare. So it would ruin the holidays every single year for them. So now they feel like they can live freely. The wooded area where Derek was found was bulldozed down, and they put a baseball field there in honor of little Derek, and there's a little statue there in honor of him.
Aw.
And little Eric Smith is engaged to be married from a lawyer that started writing him when he was in jail.
I guess I need to go to jail. This is bullshit.
Maybe he's a carpenter, maybe he's a counselor. I don't know.
I'm done with this.
Do we think Eric's going to kill again?
Yes, he's gonna have a kid with this person, and he's gonna get mad and kill.
Kill the kid?
I don't know.
Ugh.
I don't have faith in humans. I'm gonna go live with those aliens who crashed and wherever they crashed.
That's why I saw this. It's called gambling on a killer. So like we're basically gambling on them because these psychologists were like, he seems sincere, but we don't really know until they get out.
And plus, people can say whatever they want. Don't believe anything anybody says. It's all about their actions. I've learned that.
And they know how to fake it, and we don't know until they get out. They do it again.
You know what? It's fine.
So keep an eye out on
you know what? At least
redheads in New
It's
York. Sorry, Robin.
Sorry about your luck. Well, there you go. Great. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Okay. That's enough
good.
kids killing kids for a while. We will see y'all Saturday at the live show.
Oh, my gosh. Here we go.
7 o'clock on the dot. I don't know what we're talking about yet. We won't know until we show up.
Yep.
But we are definitely talking about some dirty chat. Okay, y'all. Go and rate us, review us, and subscribe to us. And click on the Patreon and go ahead and join so you can get all the bonus episodes. We're recording the first bonus episode next week. And we'll tell you what it's about. And only Patreon people will get it. Don't forget to
stay aware,
stay alive,
and always be DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Everybody has a story worth telling. I'm Corey Duncan. On Best Story Ever, I take guests that you know through their most unique and captivating stories. The best part? I hear the story for the first time when you do. Everyone has a story. What's yours? Find Best Story Ever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hola, yo soy Jackie.
Y yo soy Jessica.
Y esto es Zona del Crimen. Un podcast donde hablaremos sobre casos de crímenes reales
y eventos impactantes que han quedado marcados a través del tiempo. Recuerden que nos pueden seguir en Facebook, Instagram
o donde escuches tus podcasts favoritos.
Hey, I'm Blair.
And I'm Brittany. And we're the host of
By the Cover Podcast.
We cover everything from mysteries, thrillers, romance, chick lit, and even some smut.
Don't forget the smut.
Yeah.
We're so excited to get this thing going and share this with you guys. We've been talking about this for months, and it's finally happening.
Yes.
Special shout out to Rogue Media for helping us with this.
For sure. You can find us on Instagram at @bythecover_podcast.
You can also find us on Facebook and TikTok, so don't forget to give us a follow on those two also.
And we are so excited to dive into some of our favorite books and share those with you.
We can't wait. Hope you love it.
Hi, and welcome to Bustles and Bangers with your hostess, Rachel and Christopher.
I love it when you say my name.
And you didn't say hi.
I didn't. You just kept going. I'm going to introduce the book. I'm not reading it.
It's
because I don't like reading.
Girls like cowboy butts, and those jeans don't hide anything.
Find us on Instagram at Bustles and Bangers or on RogueMediaNetwork.com.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.